AI, ChatGPT, Claude, MCP, and other AI acronyms and buzzwords. It's no secret artificial intelligence is the new hotness, and a lot of people have different opinions, right? Good, bad, ugly, I don't know. But I think it is a really interesting conversation when we talk about it in the lens of cybersecurity. Could there ever be an AI-powered hacker or threat actor? Or could we have AI hack you or me? So I thought, you know what, maybe a cool video would be chatting a little bit about and getting a chance to showcase the Atomic Red Team MCP, when Claude becomes the APT, or the Advanced Persistent Threat. Now, as always, kudos, credit where credit is due. Big thanks to Cyberbuff. This is his tool and blog post. He has been breaking things with an Atomic Red Team MCP server because manual exploitation is so last decade. And he says this new tool that he's put together has transformed his adversary emulation workflow significantly, because he's been doing a heck of a lot of threat intelligence, detection engineering, and doing that manually, by hand. As a human, it can be pretty slow and tedious and painstaking and manual when you're working through different reports, trying to put this together into a YAML syntax to be able to execute it, test it, run it in your lab, and then see what's going on. And he was thinking, could we just have AI handle this, do it for us, or at least speed up a lot of this process? And that's a super cool thing, because you could just say or declare, hey, show me how the Conti ransomware playbook has been working out. Run tests to extract credentials from Chrome, or execute code, like literally perform the task for persistence in whatever way. And he has accomplished this with an MCP server, or a model context protocol that allows AI assistants like Claude to directly interact with external tools and databases instead of just copying and pasting in and out of ChatGPT or whatever. Before hooking this up, creating the system, you might manually search for stuff in GitHub, copy things in and out, and then kind of do this all one by one. But with this MCP server built out, you could just have Claude query the information and then execute and run if that's what you want to do. So this is an MCP server for the Atomic Red Team. And we've covered the Atomic Red Team plenty of times before in other videos, but if you're not familiar, it is a library of tests, like small little encapsulated code or commands to run that emulate what a hacker or threat actor or adversary might do in an attack. And they're all mapped to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. And a super quick crash course, just in case you aren't familiar, the MITRE ATT&CK framework is like a common language for us, you and I, people, the whole industry, to talk about cybersecurity or what hackers are doing, all with a standard sort of vernacular, the right language and lingo to explain, express, and describe what they do, their tactics, techniques, and procedures, or their style. Because that could be so many different things, like how they do reconnaissance, how they gain initial access, how they execute code, set up persistence, escalate privileges, access credentials, move laterally throughout a network, collect information, enumerate, exfiltrate, talk to their command and control, do any of this stuff that needed a taxonomy, where there is a sort of ID for each and every technique. The Atomic Red Team project bundles all these up so that you have atomic tests to emulate and check. Can you detect this? Does it work? Would you see this activity inside of your environment? So with all that background context out of the way, sorry, in this video, I want to try this. I want to play with this. I want to spin up the Atomic Red Team MCP server so that I could have Claude execute these commands, run these tests, run these hacker techniques, and in essence, hack me. But here's the thing. You see how this bullet, execute tests in a controlled environment, is noted as optional and disabled by default? Well, obviously, it's kind of weird. You're letting the AI run code on your computer that you may or may not know, and it's sometimes always a little bit of a black box. And I get a little bit of the heebie-jeebies when we're talking about some of the AI stuff just doing what it does, and it is a black box, especially maybe in the MCP or Model Context Protocol world, when we're connecting it to a ton of different applications, and maybe even, letting it run code on your computer and file system. So I thought this was topical. I think it's pretty cool. I wanted to let you know my friends over at Harmonic Security, always doing really cool stuff to protect your data in the modern world, in the modern era with AI, artificial intelligence, and they've just released this MCP gateway. It's a developer-friendly and locally installed system so that you and security teams have complete control and visibility over what's going on in your agentic AI environment. So whatever AI systems you're connecting to and MCP servers you're working with, you can see what they're doing and make sure they're doing it securely. Because MCP servers are doing super cool stuff because they have so much connectivity to the applications you might already be using, like GitHub, like Notion, like Slack, like Jira, whatever, but you can't always see what it's doing. It's that black box again. And they might have some sensitive data, and if you want to get in the middle of that MCP gateway could help save the day. They've got a super cool video where you can see a lot of the stuff in action here, and whether or not you're working with this stuff in Claude itself or within Cursor or whatever, they've got the connectivity there. Some sweet example, they were working with this and they see the security policy does stop and prevents exposing any sensitive data. Same thing happens in Cursor or any other environment that you might be working in to connect to these MCP servers, and then it'll even raise an alert for you. So you'll be able to go review, see what happened, and go track that in your environment. I think it's pretty cool if you're using AI in your environment. If you're working with MCP servers, maybe it's something that's worth checking out to get security right. I hope you go take a look. Link in the video description. Big shout out, big thanks. Appreciate Harmonic and their support and their sweet new MCP gateway. Link below. All right, now let's get to the real fun stuff. Let's throw security out the window and try to use the MCP server for Atomic Red Team. And can I get Claude to hack me, so to speak, in essence, right? We're going to run these tests to be able to execute all the different atomics or different parts and pieces of a hacker's attack chain. I am inside of a Windows 11 virtual machine, so I will be able to play with this in a little bit of a safer environment, and I do want to go ahead and get this thing downloaded. I'm actually going to work inside of a Git directory, and then from the GitHub repository, I do want to go ahead and install this. But if we're going to be using our AI crutch, why not go ahead and clone this repository and then just ask Claude to set it up for us. Let me get clone here. Cool. And then I will open up Cursor. So now I have this whole GitHub repository opened up as just a project folder within Cursor, and I'm going to ask Claude, I'm going to be a little bit lazy, could you just do it for me? Could you please set up this tool so that I can run this MCP server locally and within Cursor? Let's see what it cooks up. Looks like it found the Cursor-specific installation guide, and it will be able to cruise through that. It will require UV, UV being one of the package managers for Python. And I will need to go ahead and let this YOLO and do anything that it wants to realistically. It knows that it does not have UV installed, so let's see if we could actually have it downloaded, and it does. Again, what? Do you trust, PowerShell just IEX piped whatever it downloaded from the internet? Well, okay, I'm inside of a virtual machine. We can go take a look at the installation files. It really just explains, look, you've got to have UV installed, and if you want to set this thing up, you just create the mcp.json file in the settings for Cursor. Now it ends up making sure it can create that mcp.json and pull this all in for Cursor to run and execute with it. Yes, you're totally allowed to edit that file. Let's see what you do. Already creates it, but it keeps the environment variable actually set to false, whether we will execute the commands here. We can go ahead and change that, but it has built out now a cursor setup.markdown file with a little bit more of the information. Try to make sure this is all like running the UV utility inside of our path, building out a quick reference markdown file. So this is still neat. All right. Thanks, Claude. I appreciate you doing everything for me. But let's go take a look. We will need to restart Cursor to have this loaded, and I want to go flip that switch and actually turn on execution. Can I get to the settings here? Cursor settings. And I think that will let me get to, let me hide this window, Control-Alt-B. I'm trying to get a little bit better on the hotkeys. The MCP connection here does have an issue, but I think we'll just go ahead and restart it. Once we go ahead and change this to be true, and if I restart Cursor, then we should be able to see this up in action. Let me close out Cursor, open it once again. Let me take a quick look at the Cursor settings now. It's loading the tools. Waiting for this to finish up. Good. Looks like it has the 6 tools enabled. Server info, refresh atomics, query atomics, and then work even with the YAML structure, or kind of the outline, the code and syntax to define and declare a lot of these atomic tests. So with this up and running now, we could just kind of work with it. Let me create a new chat window and let's just ask, please tell me some of the atomic red team tests that pertain to Windows persistence mechanisms. Let's see what it will do. Fingers crossed. User is asking about atomic red team tests. They could use the MCP server. It's running the query atomics utility, and it's actually ended up writing things to a couple files here. But I think it will be able to chunk it up and give us some insight. Okay, it's tracking down some of the techniques. I saw some T info and the MITRE attack IDs there. Got some results for scheduled tasks, services. Sweet. Ooh, even got some WMI event subscription stuff. Okay, this is cool. And it'll give me these details. I mean, this is, at this point, just kind of correlating the info, the data that it probably just spat onto the file system, right? But could we then use this to generate a new test? Could we use some of this information to validate the YAML structure? Or could we just execute these tests and have it do whatever we want on the endpoint? Can you please tell me which atomic red team tests will make a very visible change to the endpoint and computer? Tell me different things that I could do that would work well in a video demonstration. What do you got? Looks like we could execute some programs, and they have things in the registry or scheduled task, some credential prompting, process creation, network activity, downloading things. Ooh. All right, so we're letting Claude take the wheel here. We're letting it take the reins. It suggested, oh, you know what? Here's a sweet demo that you could do. PowerShell credential prompt, show some phishing, setting a registry run key, creating a scheduled task, executing a task, like to have the calculator open. I want to use that playbook that it just decided here for me, and maybe like change the desktop background or something. Ransomware, hee hee ha ha, right? You had a good plan with this suggestion, and let me paste in all of those. Could you please execute all of these atomic red team tests with an additional test to change the desktop wallpaper background, and do not clean up, like restoring and putting the file system or the computer back to the state it was before you ran the test. That's one of the cool, convenient, like harness things that the Atomic Red Team project lets you do. You could try this, see if it would detect it with whatever you're using for a SIEM, EDR, detection engineering, blah, 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 and then it will revert it back before you did the damage. But for us to hack and, hack me, let Cursor and let Claude and let the Atomic Red Team MCP server do the real damage here, I don't want it to clean it up. I want to be able to see that silly new background and all the tasks that it's created or the calculator opening here and there. So do not clean up any of the tests that you run. You may execute everything to have the most visual fireworks. Let's do it. I want to actually bring Cursor down so we could see the desktop environment as this thing runs. Will it be able to really change our background? It says, good, I found a scheduled task test. It's getting the unique identifiers. It will try to hopefully execute these. We've been seeing the Query Atomics tool ran executed a lot, but now it could be doing anything else. Like, okay, getting a unique identifier. Oh, actually executing the atomic. So it's happening. It's doing it. I'm hands off keyboard. That's so cool. Okay, sure. This is so silly. They're adding a run key. Oh, it's going to actually prompt for, hey, what do you want the value to be? It could have a default thing, but let's do calc. See Windows System 32. Oh, you know what? We should do carmap because calc might be weird. I like carmap.exe for our example. That should be a run dialog key. Oh, it ran the cleanup command automatically. It caught that. That's super slick. Okay, now it's just auto-running these commands. It's not running the MCP server at this point. There's calculator firing. Okay, you cheated on that one, Claude. That's not fair. But you did run the atomic test, so you know what? I can't complain. I think you're cheating again. You should be calling the commands. No, 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 no. You don't need to write a script. Just run the atomic test. You know what? That's my fault. I did say that it could run whatever it wanted to. We could have jumped out of bounds for our MCP server and Atomic Red Team. My bad. Okay. You're cheating. Thanks. This has gone too far. I appreciate that, but I need you to do this only by the Atomic Red Team tests, please. No, you should not execute any commands individually, but only use the Atomic Red Team MCP utility. Find the Atomic Red Team test to change the desktop wallpaper. Execute it and do not clean up. Maybe that's a fine MVP. You know what? Maybe we could just have this thing change our desktop wallpaper, pretend to be ransomware. We did get the execution for, prompting for credentials, so that's still something. And of course, I hope you get the idea at this point, right? We're querying, we're trying to track it down, we're finding the replace desktop wallpaper, and it got the unique identifier. Will we do it? Fingers crossed. Can we get a new desktop? Okay. Yeah, it wants to use a default value, which is fine. Reply with default to keep the default. Do it. Yep, you can keep it at the same place. You can keep it the same place. I wonder if we could tweak this a little bit so we'll just use the defaults. It changed the wallpaper. You put it back. You put it back. This is fun. Do not run the core commands directly. This is less fun. Stop. You're escaping the bounds of this video, Claude. We saw the wallpaper change, so I don't think we need to go do that again. That did fire. So now let me get super bold, right? Let's run cursor as admin so that our MCP server and the Atomic Red Team test that we work through will be able to do whatever it wants. What are some good examples here? They had some real world scenarios in the blog post. Okay, they're showcasing like generating a potential YAML or test based off of a threat intel report that you've seen out in the wild. That's pretty sweet. It'll end up extracting TTPs and making all sense of this to see, do these techniques already exist in the Atomic Red Team project and library, or will it actually create new tests and then validate the YAML syntax and then just let it run? Normally that would take an hour perhaps, but they cruise through it real quick. Do some detection rule validation. They're using an example with, the Cloudflare D tunnel. That's cool and cutesy, but let's just do a Windows service. Let's create a Windows service and do not perform cleanup so that I can go see and validate the test has been performed. Do it. User wants me to use the Atomic Red Team MCP server to track down a Windows service creation, and I don't even have to know the attack technique ID. Okay, they're finding a couple different potential tests, but it might have found, a couple good different unique IDs that it could use. And let me see what it'll do. It'll download an atomic service.exe binary. Sure, let's do it. You could use the default. Type of service is fine. Yeah, I would really love to be able to just steamroll over these. And maybe that's a fun little exercise for the reader. If any of you would like to go chip away at this MCP server and see what more you might be able to tweak or tune or experiment with. I think the MCP server code is just going to keep running cleanup, even if we try to tell it, don't do that. But the coolest thing is that, look, this is still kind of in development. Like, this is a pretty recent project. As of just a couple weeks ago, released at the end of October, and Cyberbuff is doing even more. You might have noticed the very beginning of the blog post that I showed you was just number 1. But he's taken this a little bit further, and now there is a number 2 post. I'm taking a look at his Substack here, and just after, Claude becomes the APT, now there is a Claude becomes C2, or command and control. This is cool. Breaking everything everywhere all at once. So he sets up the MCP server on not just, a Windows box, but also within Linux and in Mac, and then maybe even being able to bring in other emulation utilities like Caldera. Do a little bit more testing here. Then we're really falling down the rabbit hole on, how much is AI going to end up taking over a lot of the work that we might do? I'm sure folks have already seen like some cool stuff to be able to, have it automatically hunt for vulnerabilities, try and exploit vulnerabilities, do the ethical hacking. That is just cool. Oh, and they do this across all those different platforms. They're using persistence as that one example, but really, really neat just to think up all the different ideas here. Look, I hope you thought this was cool. I think this is neat. I think it's sweet to be able to tie together, projects that we're used to working with, like Atomic Red Team, and then cook up a MCP or Model Context Protocol so that, we could give the reins to AI and then just see what it does. And then look, if you've got, of course, that educational warning, that responsibility, authorization, and all the things that you're making sure, you're testing this in your own environments, unless you've got permission to do it elsewhere. But still, for the folks that are doing a lot of this threat intelligence work, for the folks that are doing this detection engineering efforts, you're working in and out of, the emulation, the testing, working with these harnesses, or trying Atomic Red Team for the stuff that you're up to, this has got to be cool. Let me know in the comments below, is this a game changer? Are you using AI? Are you still a little bit angry? Do you got your pitchfork out? Are you poo-pooing on all this AI stuff? Or are you seeing where it is giving you those superpowers in the right way? But that's it. That's the end of the video. I'm done rambling. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please do give Harmonic Security, today's sponsor, some love. Link below in the video description. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.